Welcome back to the Theology of Business podcast with host Darren Shearer. This is the show that helps marketplace Christians to partner with God in business to help you make disciples of your company, your industry, and your community. If you want to learn more about how to do business for the glory of God and shape culture through discipling the business world, this show is for you. You can get more of the Theology of Business Institute's interviews and teachings like the one you're about to hear at theologyofbusiness.com.
On this episode, we're joined by Keith Hertling. Keith is the Vice President of Leadership, Coaching, and Culture for Jersey Mike's Franchise Systems. And you've probably been to a Jersey Mike's sub shop. Actually, my family and I, we're going to be going to check it out tonight, Keith. I don't know how I managed to get through this part of my life without going to a Jersey Mike's, but we're gonna experience the glory here tonight. But he's worked with the sandwich chain for 15 years. He began coaching Special Olympians in college and has been teaching and coaching ever since. At age 15, he co-founded Popeye's Gym, a haven for athletes, police, firefighters, and lifeguards. One of those was DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, not one of the lifeguards, but one of the guys that worked out there, actually worked out in Keith's gym early on, and was a leader in the fitness industry for more than 20 years. He also spent time as a high school and college football coach, certified personal trainer, and life coach. And definitely recommend everybody go check out his book, Life Lessons on Leadership, Coaching, and Culture, where he shares a lot of the story of the folks that he's worked with and his journey with Jersey Mike's. And Keith, thanks for joining us.
Well, it's a problem now because since you have not been to Jersey Mike's, you're going to be going once a week. Right? and a new habit.
I'm like that. That's the thing. When I find that habit, I just go again and again. I will not venture outside of that in a lot of cases once I find that. But once I find something better, I'm totally willing to make that switch. So we're gonna find that out tonight.
Awesome. That's great.
So what's the story about how you got involved with Jersey Mike's?
Jersey Mike's, yeah. Well, I actually grew up with the founder. So it was...
you guys played football together.
We were best friends growing up. We were the running backs in the local high school. I actually started in Pop Warner. And that was... we tell our story about our coach all the time. He was a golfer, but a great influence, great first coach, mentor. Never yelled or screamed, and just unbelievable experience we had. He went to a bowl game and won in Florida. So that was as a 12-year-old. But he was actually instrumental in giving Peter the loan later on. He was also a banker. Peter bought the sub shop at age 15.
Wow.
But we were the running backs. We were the only two that got scholarships to go to college, and he never went. He bought the sub shop. And, he stood out on the porch of the sub shop that he worked at there since 14. And he said, "Look, pal, I'm not going to college. I'm going to buy the sub shop." And I was like, "Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. I'm out of here." But really, we've, I did my career. And after 20 years in the fitness industry, it was time to sell out and get involved in Jersey Mike's. It was just perfect timing. And so took over the Midwest. And then after 10 years of operating stores, came back into the office working with my good friend, Peter Cankro.
All right. So Jersey Mike's is a special place. It's a special kind of sub shop, a sub above. That's kind of the tagline. Tell us about the time when you're Catholic, I'm assuming, and you've got a lot of Catholic influence on not only your personal life, but you brought that into the company. Tell us about the time when Father Barnabas had lunch at one of your Jersey Mike's locations. What did he say to you before he left?
Yeah, that was an awesome memory. And every store opens up on a Wednesday, and we have 5 days of really hard promotion, giving away a lot of free subs. So you're kind of pretty tired by that Sunday. And I still remember we were in Kansas, Topeka, Kansas, snow on the ground, not optimal, conditions, but we sold a ton of subs, about 650 a day. And that was a new record. And I was working the slicer on a Sunday, and here comes Father Barnabas, who was actually the abbey and it was the abbot, the head of the abbot. He was the head cheese, one of my great mentors at the time, and just surreal when he walked in with his collar. No, people looked at him. It was lunchtime. He watched, he observed, and then he finally came and got his sub, and he stopped the line and he said, "Keith, man, what a great ministry you have here." And it was just, everyone paused, even the customers. But my manager was right next to me, and I'm the owner operator. I'm going to leave that store soon and open the second one. And my young manager just paused and said, "Is that guy a saint?" And I just looked at him, and he was kind of a naive young kid. And I said, "No, what? Maybe he is. I don't know." And I remember reading not long after that, The Pathway to Sainthood. You may not be one, but you could be. But you'll never be unless you believe you can be. And so he looked at me, and then we all looked at each other. And he said, "Man, that's, what? Maybe he is a saint." Then in a little conversation, everybody was involved, including the, everybody just paused in line, even the customers. And Father Barnabas took over. In fact, his Barnabas, he chose his name, Son of Encouragement.
Sure.
And we teach our guys to, use that word encouragement all the time. That's page 41 in the book, by the way.
Yes.
But from then on, my guy took over for culture. And my guy, Mike, his name, he said, "Let's start treating our customers like this." And it's like, well, you know what? We are a community of saints. Let's use that word. You go. And he said, "Can I do that?" And it's like, you can do whatever you want. This is your store now. I'm leaving soon. So you just take over. And, those were just memories that you look back on and say that, we didn't even have the word culture back then. And now it's that's all you hear about.
Yeah. So what does that mean? What, treating everyone like a saint, what did that come to mean for Jersey Mike's?
Well, this is what we teach in our leadership school today. It's our 14 foot. That's the length of the counter, and we call it our 14 foot of experience. But it's really what we've kind of esoterically referred to as now our New Testament. And so when we come in, we ask our guys, and I say, "Hey, anybody know what the New Testament is?" And sometimes people know, and they'll say, "Yeah, we give you a new commandment," and that is, yes, love one another. And that's what we need in this 14 foot. We need to use this word love. We know when we teach what it is. Nobody knows what it is. And let's use that word love more with your staff. Let's take care of our people. It's part of our culture. And what Peter wants is to pay properly. Take care of your own people. You can't do it unless you take care of it. You'll never take care of the customer unless your own company is, run by the heart. So that's a reality we teach in our school.
Yeah. I have found that a lot of young kind of upward mobile types like yourself in that season, if you encounter an influential church leader, a lot of times the church leader will say, "You seem like a good candidate to go into the ministry." And what they mean is you need to leave all this sandwich shop business and go to seminary and get and start to become part of the quote unquote clergy. But Father Barnabas, his approach was he affirmed the ministry that you already had. What did that mean to you? Had you ever thought about going to become a priest?
Well, it's a great thought, because going to Benedictine, I had no idea. It was pure divine providence. Was never going to go there. In fact, the story is kind of, it's probably weird. I put it in the book right away because Popeye's Jim, and we had had my license plate Popeye, and was
Pope yes.
Popeye was our Popeye Pope yes, and so that was what one of the monks saw when I pulled up on campus dropping off a kid and really never left. When somebody looks at your look and says Pope yes, and then you look down at them with it and say, "Oh man, it does say Pope yes, I guess," but pause for a moment. But really, I wound up spending 8 years with the monks. And they knew right off that I was not going to be a monk. Mm-hmm. They loved me in there. It was just not monk material, really. You're talking about a jock who was, just happened to be, Christian faith. They worked on me like I was one of their surrogates and like I was a novice, but I could come and go anytime. They just knew I was going to do something in the real world. And that's how they prepped me. And they said, look, you want to be a teacher? That's what we need you out in the real world. You're not going to help us here in the monastery, because it was this, I just didn't have that calling. And they said, well, that's great, but since you do love God and you do love the Lord, we need you out there. Mm-hmm. And that's I've seen from day one.
And it was about that time when you started coaching Special Olympics athletes. Wasn't it about that time?
Oh yeah, that was the life changer. That was a sophomore in college. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you learn about business coaching from that experience?
Well, that was just the most amazing experience at all. But in the business world, I mean, it's the guy that actually wound up working with me was an amazing businessman, because he would try to place these kids in the business world. So not only were we just practicing with the kids and bringing them to the tournaments and just, loving these kids whenever we could, but it was his job. And he really taught me that this was a higher calling. It wasn't just working with the kids. It was putting them into the real world so that they wouldn't be a burden to society. And a lot of the kids were placed correctly. And one of them I still see every year. And Lisa Gellings was our captain right from the beginning. So she's just ready to retire from the Benedictine College cafeteria at age 58, 59.
Wow.
Still, I'll show up on a homecoming football game and she'll run across the field screaming my name. It's just one of those unbelievable love stories that, over time.
Wow. And how do you apply some of your lessons learned in the actual coaching you do with your Jersey Mike's owners?
Well, right now, if you can't work with somebody, with a Special Olympian, then you can't really work in our stores. You have to treat everybody as if they're a saint. And yeah, everybody has different needs. We talk about coaching styles in our leadership school. Not everybody gets coached the same. And man, you learn that as a special ed teacher. And, you have to develop an IEP. Everybody knows what they are these days, individual educational plan. I mean, everybody's different and it's got to be personalized. And we're teaching our guys, you have to have a file on every one of your crew. And how are they learning? And what are we doing? What is your leadership plan as a franchisee, as a manager? And a lot of these kids are coming in the restaurant world, and they're just not equipped. And we're giving them the keys to this, we say it's a $300,000 Lamborghini, but it really is it's $1 million business. Mm-hmm. They're not just really selling subs or making subs. They're really running, they're entrepreneurs, and they're running $1 million businesses. I mean, that's the reality.
Sure. Hey, before we get back to this episode, I need to let you know about a new course we've developed here at the Theology of Business Institute called the Biblical Standards for Businesses course. Are you tired of hearing well-meaning statements about how God cares about your work in business, but not actually having much practical guidance on how to apply the Bible in business matters? Are you tired of having to rely primarily on non-Christian business gurus for useful guidance on how to run your business? Do you want to know what the Bible says about the fundamental aspects of business like innovation, competition, marketing, sales, customer care? What does the Bible say about quality control, management, human resources, accounting, business law, risk management? Given that we're called to set Christ-centered standards in business, which is really just another way of saying we're called to make disciples, we believe every Christian business executive, entrepreneur, and coach should be able to explain and apply what the Bible says about each of the core fundamentals of business. So join us in the Theology of Business Institute's Biblical Standards for Businesses course to discover and apply what the Bible says about business so we can set industry standards and steward our companies in ways that reveal God's glory to the world around us. So head over to theologyofbusiness.com and click the tab that says course to learn more and enroll for the current semester. That's theologyofbusiness.com. So I want to hear more about your takeaways from what you call these monk mentors of yours, because they've just had such an impact on you and I think even just the idea of going to live in a monastery to be able to be, because most people, and I attended seminary and I took a course on discipleship. And on day one, the professor asked these seminary students, how many of you have ever been discipled, where there was somebody in your life that kind of took you under their wing, a Christian that was maybe a little further down the road to kind of help you understand what this Christian life is all about. And 85% of the hands went up and said, we have never been discipled. These are master's level MDiv students, never been discipled. But from where you're coming from, I get the sense that you've been taken under the wing of so many of these monks. What have you learned about business coaching from these Catholic monk mentors?
What haven't I learned? I mean, it's everything. It's when you talk about a profound influence, we teach the 7 habits. You probably heard of Stephen Covey's 7 habits. And most people don't realize they're all grounded in scripture. But even we talk about the monks, they wear habits. I mean, the actual clothing they wear, they're so disciplined throughout the day in their prayer life. I look back and I was a little melancholy this last month. I lost my main monk mentor, 88 years old,
Oh, wow.
70 years.
Sorry
Can
to
you
hear that.
imagine somebody that can influence you for 70 years?
Wow.
But picks up at the same time. The monks would pray 5 times a day. Ora et labora, the Latin for prayer and work, one of St. Benedict's rules. They believe work was prayer. If you look at the military, so many similar characteristics, but they just didn't have that teaching side like a monastery would have. But we use the saints and teach with the saints all the time. And we talk about St. Thomas Aquinas. There can be no love in life without love at work. Look at Mother Teresa, who was just became a saint in our lifetimes. Amazing. Work without love is slavery. And you can take the saints, you can take some of the theologians that talk about work and love in itself, and why do we work? We ask this question all the time. And generally when we go into a store, we'll surprise somebody behind the line and say, hey, let me ask you a question. Why do you work here? And just kind of stammer a bit and they go, why do I work here? I love it here. And when we hear that love and we say, wow, okay, something good's happening behind this 14-foot. And they might say, I love my boss. I love the atmosphere. They might even say, I love the pickles. We don't care. But it's that, how do we get that person to be happy? Because we're seeing the research is just horrible. 70% of the people that were in the workforce just don't like their jobs. They're not happy.
Wow. And I just read a book called The Power of Habit, and there's so many implications for business there. And especially as a franchising company, that's the name of the game, right? Is having that consistent high level of service and products. And who better to learn from than these monks? That's the life, like you talked about the Benedictine rule. So much to be gleaned there in terms of the power of habit from these monks, and just that whole lifestyle that you've been able to bring into, and not just habits for the sake of habits, but the right habits, the habits that focus you on what really matters most in life. And you seem to have a good handle on that. What are some of the other practical ways that you teach this culture to your team?
Yeah. Well, we start right off with our manifesto, and it's a video, takes you 2 minutes. It really sums up who we are. Put that in the book. We love using in the video and just not the words, but it teaches us virtue. It doesn't talk much about the subject in itself, but it's this manifesto or credo, so to speak, that takes Peter's mission statement, which is what Jersey Mike's mission statement is: giving, making a difference in someone's life. He's been promoting that since 1975. And so what other, if that's not a trait from the Bible, what is? But in the manifesto, we talk about virtue of intention. What is virtue? We teach the kids the etymology, break down words like virtue, like enthusiasm, in theos, of the spirit. You're trying to inspire your employees. Inspire is Greek word. Breathe into. What are you breathing into? Your spirit of enthusiasm. So it really is that manifesto we start off with, but it's during that time, we'll talk about our core values, and then we'll have them create their own core values, because most of them coming in don't have them. They haven't thought about it. They haven't really, they're all X's and O's, profit and loss. It's all about the numbers. And what we're trying to do is say, look, you've got to learn how to treat your people correctly. You've got to teach them how to be happy. You actually have to, go over the habits with them. And they've never seen the habits before, most of them. Most of them don't read. So, even this book, when I was putting this thing together, I asked the experts, how many pages should it be? And they said, just don't make it big. Make it really concise. And so I said, well, 100 pages, 200? They said, yeah, less than 200. Keep it under 200. They just won't read it. And I've seen this with my field guys. I mean, I oversee 20 guys that we just started a book club. So we're kind of, but we'll generally read a book and do a 1-pager so we can share it.
Yeah.
So they're getting better at that. And these are well-trained. These are the elite guys.
Yeah.
So, but the restaurant world, getting to that level is challenging, but we're seeing it happen. And we're seeing, if you come into our stores and you don't feel like you're special, like you're a saint, we need to know about it.
Well, good. Well, we're going to be secret shoppers tonight then, and I'll let you know how it's going down at this location. And I also loved it. I read in your book, Life Lessons on Leadership, Coaching, and Culture, about how you had borrowed this practice from the Benedictines. Apparently, they're sending out like a 1-minute kind of thought for the day, and y'all kind of made your own version of that, and it's a 56-second thought for the day to really help to instill that culture. 56 because Mike Subs was founded in 1956, right?
Yeah, you're good. That's right.
Yeah, I love that that approach. It's just one of those things for a business owner to think about how, because it's so easy to get just bogged down in the day-to-day grind of the business and not actually think about how are you training your people and looking after, guarding the culture that you want to have in your company.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to deliver a great experience if your people don't know your mission, if they don't know why they're working, if they're not happy working with people that they are working with. And so we want to be known as a training company. We want to train these guys, but we want to train them specifically in really, we don't say you're coming to a Christian training, but essentially we just have most of us training are Christians. And so we're getting that message to them through the word love. And we say, look, you got to use it more. It's not a bad word. And we'll teach them what that is. We'll talk about agape love. We'll talk about just saying, hey, I love the way you wrap that sub. Your customer, hey, I love that you have a new tie on. Or I love the way that the color of that dress. Just use the word love more. And that was one of the last, I want to say, gifts I got when I left the Atchison, Kansas. The monks had what they call the 8 magic words. And that was everything you do must be done with love. Mm. And, in the beginning, I'm just a jock who's, I'm going to be a football coach. I got a lot of testosterone pumping around, and it's like, okay, I can, took me a while to get that. But today we really see that kind of culture that flows not only in our home office, but in as many stores as choose to do so. Mm.
Beautiful. Well, Keith, where's the best place for people to hear more from you? Certainly we want people to go check out the book, Life Lessons on Leadership, Coaching, and Culture by Keith Hertling, Hertling. So I know the book is on Amazon. Any place else you want to direct people?
Well, I usually direct them to my own personal website, keithhertling.com. It's pretty simple website, but you can sign up for our mentoring program. And we have a mentorship program. It's usually based on 10 weeks. Pretty simple format. It's a 30-minute podcast, 30-minute lesson, really, with a homework assignment. And this homework assignment might take you 30 minutes. We're just actually getting ready to launch another one here, September 12th, a 10-weeker, and it's calling Elevate Your Life. But that's one way. We have... They could actually come visit and come to our Bible study. We actually have a Bible study here.
Bible study there at the Jersey Mike's headquarters.
Yeah. and that's just a Peter Cancro thing.
The founder, Peter's the founder, for anyone who doesn't know.
He's our founder. One day we're just out swimming in the ocean and said, "Hey, man, I think I need to start teaching a Bible study." And he said, "Fine, go for it. Just do it in the morning, and just do it the right way." And we've been doing that now. It's going on our 6th year, I think, and haven't missed a day where there weren't 2 or more gathered in our weekly Bible study. But you talk about that, and right now we're on Proverbs, and you talk about application for business. I mean, we're sitting in there laughing almost every line you read in Proverbs. And I put some of those on my website, some of my favorite ones that I've learned and memorized, and there's some videos on there of culture and habits, and just kind of there's some fun stuff. There's some reflections. There's some poems that I've written throughout the years that we like to share and kind of come together with kind of that talent. But
well, Keith, I got to tell you, I'm a fan of what you're doing, and Jersey Mike's. I haven't even eaten there yet. That'll really just be kind of the icing on the cake, but just the culture that you're instilling is remarkable. And I'm surprised I haven't heard more about what's happening there, but I know that now that I have, I'm going to start seeing it everywhere. Because you guys, I think, how many locations now?
Well, we have 1,600 open. We have 2,500 in development. So, in the next opening about 200 a year, 225 or so. So it seems like that's our pipeline. There is, I think we have been blessed as we have progressed. I think mainly because our leader is a truly remarkable Christian man who you would never know it through his, he is a great humble servant, as most of the great leaders are you see out there. And I think you're going to hear his name go down in history when it's all over, because he has done probably more for the actual customer and the people that work around him than I would imagine most any of the predecessors before him, like the other fast food concepts in that category.
Yeah. Wow. I believe it. Well, Keith, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. And I know our audience has benefited from this episode. Appreciate you and what you're doing.
No, and I'm going to send you some free sub cards, because you're going to have to be my secret sub shopper out there. We've got
all right. We got a bunch of them out here. Apparently, I was just mapping it. They're all over Houston.
I could download the app so you can quickly become a loyalty member and get some stuff.
Will do. Keith, thank you so much, brother.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. You can share your feedback and get more information to help you partner with God in business and disciple your company, your industry, and your community at theologyofbusiness.com. The Theology of Business podcast is sponsored by Highbridge Books and Media, a media agency specializing in publishing and promoting the world-changing ideas of inspiring thought leaders through book publishing, website development, publicity, email marketing, social media management, podcast management, and video-based course publishing. Take the next step to share your message with the world by contacting us at highbridgemedia.com. Thanks for listening, and keep partnering with God in your business.